Hey everyone, welcome to the Roto Grinders Morning Grind Podcast. I'm your host, Stevie TPFL. It's July 6th. It's Wednesday. We have some early action. We have some late action. We got a lot of action here on this Wednesday, 15 games total. We're going to skip the Detroit at Cleveland game. Nobody has that 12 o'clock game on their slate. Nobody wants to wake up at 9 o'clock on the West Coast and make lineups. So we're going to skip over that game. We're going to start with Atlanta and Philly here in a minute. But for back-to-back days, because, hey, we were chatting on Twitter, and why not ask him to come on after he crushed yesterday? How you doing, Siege?
I'm doing good, buddy. Yeah, it was a really good, another good podcast. I'm kind of like on a good little run of podcasts here, so just gotta keep the mojo going and keep it rolling.
Yeah. So after a good podcast yesterday, everybody's going to expect you to bring your A game yet again here today.
I'm feeling pretty good about this. The evening slate, I'm super confident on. The day slate, maybe not so much, but I think there's some interesting options, and you can take the right pieces of information. I'll give out the winners. I just will probably give out a couple duds as well.
Yeah, like Herrera, dud. But Fulte sucked, and Ashik was a great call.
God, Herrera getting picked off first was kind of like how I knew my night was just going to go. I was just like, oh my goodness. Like he was ready to go. He was ready to steal two bases. He just gets picked off. It wasn't even close. It was just like, you got to be kidding me.
Well, it was one of those nights for me where I had all the right hitters and every single wrong pitcher.
I just kept finding all the wrong parts of my stack. Like the Pirates, it was Eric Fryer and David Freese, not the guys running. Because they just couldn't get on. So when they got on, they just kept running every time. They just didn't get on. And then now, the Minnesota stack, it's Kurt Suzuki and Buxton and Kepler. No, that's not Dozier and Sano. That's not helping.
All right, before we get into this slate here, let's talk FantasyDraft.com, sponsor of the podcast. So if you guys enjoy the podcast Monday through Friday, make sure you head on over to Fantasy Draft. Use promo code GRINDERS. That way, you get incentives here at Roto Grinders for free for a year for Fantasy Draft, and you get a 100% deposit bonus up to $600. Bunch of PGA stuff in the lobby, a lot of baseball stuff, early and late. We're going to start with this early slate here, CJ. It's an interesting slate, 6 games, so it's definitely a playable slate, not a really overpowering amount of pitchers outside of Jacob deGrom, which we'll talk about him. But we're going to start with Atlanta and Philadelphia. We have Jeremy Hellickson against Tyrell Jenkins. We were talking about Jenkins before we started. 2-pitch guy, below average changeup. Fastball, curveball. Doesn't look like anything that I'm really afraid of here with the Phillies bats yet again.
Yeah, it kind of looks like the exact same spot as yesterday. Come back with Herrera one more time. It's a pretty good spot against the poor righty who's only got 2 pitches. Herrera, power, speed. Cody Ashley has finally figured it out. After being a bust numerous times, this time he's gotten it all together, and he's a good option. He's still pretty cheap just about everywhere. So for me, I'm probably just going to go back to those Philly lefties. And, this could be turned into Brandon Phillips 2.0, but Peter Bourgeot is not good.
He's not good. I was like, oh, man, really? Home run? Really? All right, anyway.
I was just a little late looking at the box scores, and I see a 1 in the bottom of the first. I was like, oh, good. One of my guys hit a home run.
No.
You
had mentioned Cody Asik yesterday, and I looked into it, and I liked it, man. I rostered him a lot here on Tuesday night. I guess we're technically into Wednesday now. Everybody that's listening to the podcast, if you're not following the Siege on Twitter, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. I asked CJ to join me, and he didn't even think twice about it. So make sure you guys are following the Siege DFS on Twitter. He's the man. Cody Asik, 2,400 on FanDuel. Excellent play here in this early slate. I'm right there with you. I actually think I'm going to go to Herrera on this slate. We're going to see A.J. Pierzynski. We're not going to see Tyler Flowers, which upgrades the Phillies running guys a lot more here.
The fact that Tyler Flowers is like an upgrade over A.J. Pierzynski just indicates how bad A.J. Pierzynski is.
Jeremy Hellickson on the other side here. Any interest in Hilly?
Nah, not against a team with all left-handed bats throughout the lineup. They don't strike out enough for me to go there. I was really encouraged to see his good start last time out, but I think I'm just gonna sit this one out. It's not the greatest spot ever. I wouldn't mind playing him if you like him. I wouldn't talk you out of it. I just don't see a ton of upside here.
I think he's better off when we see him against right-handed heavy teams, teams that can throw out some lefties against him. And he's going to see a lot. He's going to see Markakis. He's going to see Inciarte. Freeman, Pierce. It's not the greatest lefties, but enough where I'm kind of going to be off of Hellickson here. Let's talk Atlanta bats. Back to the well with Freeman after a bad game.
Yeah, I think it's a really good spot for Freddie Freeman. First base is always loaded, so it's tough to play him on one first baseman sites, but on sites like Fantasy Draft where you can play more than one, he definitely is in consideration.
Jace Peterson, pique your interest if he's in that leadoff spot?
I really just hope I can do better than him. If I get stuck and I'm doing a late swap before lock and I need to play him, it's fine, but I just don't love him.
Oakland at Minnesota, Sonny Gray, Irvin Santana. What an ugly pitching slate. And Sonny Gray and Irvin Santana, I have no interest. I'm not on the Sonny Gray train.
I would never have interest, but let me just say but. It is now 1 o'clock Eastern, and this game is still going because they got a super late start. It's only in the bottom of the 7th, so these guys are not going to get out realistically till 3 in the morning, and they got to be back at 1 o'clock Eastern for a game. We're going to see some tired players. We're going to see some weird lineups. I wouldn't call it the craziest thing in the world if you played a Sonny Gray.
I think it's a really fair point. FanDuel 8,000 though.
Oh well, no.
Like that's too much, right?
No, that's way too much. A site like Fantasy Draft 11-7, that's where I would play him.
Or DraftKings, he's really cheap there too. So 2 pitcher sites, Sonny Gray. Like CJ said, at 3 o'clock in the morning before these guys get out, they'll be back in the clubhouse no later than probably 10 a.m. It takes all of 2 or 3 hours to get ready for a baseball game between BP, fielding, and all that stuff. So, yeah, I guess that would be the only reason. I'm not targeting Sonny Gray or Santana because I think they're good.
No, it's just the Twins can strike out a bunch, and if they're fatigued and you get a kind of weak lineup, it just – I'm not saying it's my favorite play on the board, but on a slate without pitching options, I'm looking for anything, and I feel like that's a realistic thing that these guys are going to be tired, and you're going to see kind of a scrubby lineup here.
Let's talk Oakland bats first. Only one name that really stands out to me. I don't mind Danny Valencia, but I really want Josh Reddick. I'm going to keep playing him. I think the big game is coming.
Yeah, 8,100 for sure, and he got the day off today because Tommy Malone was on the hill, so he'll be rested and ready to go. So I definitely don't mind some Josh Reddick.
Any other Oakland bats that you like here?
I don't mind Mini Crush, Baby Crush, whatever you call him. He's in a good spot against Irvin Santana. I don't mind him.
I call him K Davis instead of Chris Davis. So
that's negative. I like him, so can't come up with. I need a more positive nickname.
Mini Crush. It's tough to call him Mini Crush. He has 19 home runs this year. So anyway, Minnesota bats here against Gray. Anybody that piques your interest?
Yeah, if I was going to play it, it would be a stack, and it would just be the normal guys. It'd be Dozier, Nunez, Sano, Robbie Grossman, Kepler. Starting to kind of turn it on here. Another home run today off the lefty. So, he's got 5 home runs now and only 120 at-bats. I'm starting to think maybe he's a little bit legitimate. I don't mind him here at 6.6 over on Fantasy Draft.
I think I play him more than everybody else in this industry, and I've been talking about him for 2 or 3 weeks, and I think he's going to become a thing over the next week. I still think he'll be under-owned, so I still think it's time to jump on him.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like that he became something when I was on vacation. I missed it out. But yeah, I definitely can. These box scores are nice. There's not a lot of zeros. Those are always nice.
Yeah. What about Nunez? Nunez, got that All-Star game. He's going to represent the Twins in the All-Star game. You got to think some narrative there, right?
Yeah, you would think so. I was kind of hoping the mid-game a narrative for Dubal Herrera would happen, but maybe not. Maybe it's going to be today. But I definitely Nunez is a great play here against Sonny Gray. None of the Oakland catchers can throw. I definitely have an interest in him today.
Jacob deGrom, Justin Nicolino. We have Miami at New York. Justin Bour, first thing we want to note, he was sent back to Miami on Tuesday. Probably a really good chance he's going to miss this game. So I think we can bump up deGrom here.
Why aren't they just DLing him with the All-Star break? Just put him on the DL already.
I don't know. I guess
every other team's just resting random guys.
Look, we talked about it yesterday. I don't know why they're not sending them to the deal.
Yeah, that's the Marlins, I guess. What do you expect? But DeGrom in a good spot. We don't have to worry about Rene Rivera anymore in our lives. So that's nice. So, right? He's not on the active roster. They demoted him when Darno came back, right?
No, he's still there.
What?
He's been playing every once in a while. But he played, I think, he played Sunday or Saturday. I think there's a good chance we see Darno.
Just give me someone who's not – please, I just want to roster Jacob DeGrom without, like, having this massive fear and nightmares over my head.
I'm rostering DeGrom anyway. Like, he's the best pitcher on the slate. The biggest issue with him has been run support. Just Justin Nicolino, one of the easiest hitters or one of the easiest pitchers in baseball. He's a contact guy with 0 strikeout upside.
Yeah, I just for whatever reason, when it comes to the Mets, I just can't play lefties again. I just can't play them against lefties. They're just that bad. Even Nicolino's 2 not horrific starts this year were both against the Mets.
Mets suck against lefties. We talked about it with Chen yesterday.
I know, and we know it's Justin Nicolino and he's bad, but he's faced him twice. I guess the one start was last year, but still 6 innings, 3 earned runs. Like, okay, it's not good for most people. For Justin Nicolino, that's an all-star worthy performance. And then again, and about a month ago, 5 1/3, 2 earned runs. So
9 hits in that game a month ago, though. That's nice.
I understand that. I understand Justin Nicolino is bad, but the Mets are equally bad. This is a movable force against Blunt. I mean, this is just. I think we can pass. There's a lot of good offenses on the slate. I'm not going to take an offense. I'm not saying take Justin Nicolino, but the Mets fade for me.
Oh, no interest in Jose Reyes?
I don't know. Where do they price him at?
He's still not on FanDuel from what I'm seeing, but I'm guessing on draft. I was hoping he was there.
6,400. I don't need a middle infielder here. Just maybe on DK where I need him at shortstop, but
he was cheap on DK yesterday, 2.9K batting leadoff. So him would probably be the only interest. I'll probably end up with some Cespedes just because of the matchup.
Yeah. Justin Nicolino, not a guy with a changeup, so I'm not too worried about, or a changeup that I think is I know Cespedes has problems versus left-handed changeups. In the past, he's actually been okay against them this year, but Nicolino's changeup is nothing I'm going to be scared of.
Moving out, Cincinnati at Chicago. Always pay attention to the weather and the wind here. Desclafini against Adam Warren. Man, what some awesome pitchers we have on this slate.
Boy, let me tell you, this is the most interesting game on the board, depending on what the wind does. If the wind is blowing in, you could talk me into either one of these pitchers, and if the wind's blowing out, I would want to only game stack.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Right now, it's projected at 14 mile an hour out to right center. That's why I said pay attention to the wind. We're recording the podcast the night before. There's chances of rain at the end of this game, so make sure you read the Roth report in the morning. But 14 mile an hour is out to right center. Like, every single Cubs bat and Reds bat is in play.
If the wind's blowing out at 14 miles an hour, I don't care if Roth tells me the rain's coming in the 3rd inning. I'm in. I'm in.
Especially at a 2 o'clock game, right?
This is just, if the wind's blowing out, I mean, both these guys are just going to get absolutely shelled, and it's just, and both pitchers are priced, the Cubs bats are nothing completely absurd. Chris Bryant's only 10-4 on a draft. Sign me up. This is, if this wind's blowing out, this might just be the only game you play, to be honest.
Chris Bryant video game numbers over the last 10 days, man. Just every day we turn around, Chris Bryant's hitting a home run. Didn't affect us today. Was on the early slate, but even the night before, walked a couple times, hit another home run, 25 home runs in his second season. Chris Bryant on the way to a 40-plus home run season.
Yeah, and he might get multiple today.
Yeah, Rizzo, Bryant, Zobrist, Motto, Bruce, Duvall, all these guys in play.
Yeah, Contreras, especially on fantasy draft where you don't need a catcher, I don't care. This kid has massive upside.
The thing is, when you're looking at the Cubs stack, you can get some cheap options to make this stack work. Contreras, 2,800 on FanDuel. Baez, 2,600. Jason Hayward, 2,800.
Addison Russell had a two home run game today. He's now had 3 home runs in the last 2 days as well.
Yeah, and he's 2,500, so you can make a Cubs stack work with DeGrom. Just saying.
Yeah, give me as much Cubs as I can fit in. It's crazy, by the way. I know we're trying to do this somewhat short, but the record for 2 home run games by a shortstop, 23 and under, an entire season was 25. It happened 5 times in a season, and that was the record. So far in 2016, it's happened 9 times.
It's just how good the shortstops. We talked about it yesterday. How good is the shortstop position coming, not only defensively but offensively?
Did you see that Lindor play today?
Oh, I did, goodness. Man. He's ridiculous.
So good. We're entering another golden age of baseball. It's going to get good.
It's going to be really good. Pitching, I think we're going to see a lot of hitting and not so much pitching here over the next 10 years.
I completely agree.
Baltimore at Los Angeles taking on the Dodgers. Speaking of pitching, man, I want to go on a Bud Norris rant so much right here. Kevin Gausman, Bud Norris. Like, what the heck happened with Bud Norris? Do you have any idea why all of a sudden he wants to play baseball again?
Yeah, I actually, if you remember last time he came out, I was like, people are going to play Bud Norris. This is free rake. I couldn't have been more against him. I stacked Colorado in the 2,500 DKQ because they were free. I thought it was free money, and these new pitches are for real. These new pitches are for real. He's throwing a cutter, he's throwing a slider. It just works against these left-handed bats, which had been his problem his entire career. He's been always decent against right-handed bats. It was the lefties that were a problem. Now he's become basically Max Scherzer to lefties or Clayton Kershaw against lefties. It's been unreal. Now he's going to see a few more righties against Baltimore. But I think he's for real, and I think he's a real option on this slate. Like, I'm believing in this, and it's a revenge game.
Oh, man. Bud Norris. So here's the thing. If you're playing the slate and you have Bud Norris in the team, you have to have a Baltimore stack, right?
I gotta be honest. I really think I just believe at this point.
Okay.
I'm confident enough that I don't need to roll out the Baltimore stack.
I'm not. I'm gonna definitely have a Baltimore stack. I do agree with you, though. I think Bud Norris is a top 3 pitcher on this slate. It's that ugly.
I just feel so confident in Reds Cubs with the wind's blowing out that I'm just like, it's gonna take you're gonna have to maybe get me some Phillies lefties, but I'm just gonna just load up there and try to play it out in pitching and maybe 1 or 2 +1s and win it there, because I just looked at what's the upside of the Orioles in LA in terms of power versus Reds Cubs with basically the Cubs rolling out a bullpen game.
You're making fair points, man. You're definitely making fair points. You got my ears. What are your thoughts here on Gausman?
Interesting option. I wouldn't mind it for tournaments. I just never seem to get the guy right.
I'm with you.
The first time he threw against Tampa, I was on him. Tampa's the only start I got right the entire year. So, I don't know.
I don't either, because that start against Tampa, I stacked Tampa because Gausman's numbers against righties are bad, and of course he pitched well. So I can't get him right as well. The slate's weak, so if you want to take a shot on him, I guess I'm not going to talk you off of it. Don't love a lot of bats in this game outside of maybe a stack from Baltimore against Norris.
Yeah, a Seager one-off. Maybe.
Seager's always a one-off, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's Seager. Talking young shortstop, that kid is so good.
There's just so many. I feel bad for the All-Star team the next few years. Hardest position to make it's going to be shortstop. Go figure.
Milwaukee at Washington, last game on this early slate. We have Tanner Roark against Matt Garza. Roark has to be an option that we look at here. I'm not a huge fan of him in general, but this is a matchup that he could really excel in.
Yeah, look, he just is really death against right-handed bats. The Brewers have a bunch of those. Just faced this team actually a couple weeks ago and threw a gem. 7 innings, no earned runs, 7 Ks. Kind of think something similar could happen here in this start.
And that was at Milwaukee. He gets to go back to Washington here, which much better pitcher's park than Milwaukee.
You know who didn't pitch well in that start a couple weeks ago?
Probably Matt Garza, because he stinks.
Yes, you would be correct. Did not pitch well in that start. Nationals, all the Nationals, and Danny Espinosa leads the way.
Do you want to know something funny, CJ? my first Roto Grinders article 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I don't even remember how long it was actually writing up how good Matt Garza was in the spot that he was pitching. It was my first article.
Wow, how the times changed.
They did. He pitched great in that game too. Pat myself on the back from 5 years ago. Bats in this game, if you want to be different than everybody else that's going to stack the Cubs, stack the Nationals here.
Yeah, I completely agree. Left-handed power bats are the place you're going to go against Garza. Try to make up for that Cubs-Reds production. You can do it with Murphy, Harper, and Espinoza. Can't believe I just said those three names in the sentence and didn't laugh.
Ramos, if he was cheaper, I would have some interest, but I think that he's just too expensive right now.
I'd be stunned if he played in this game. This is the day off for him, I would think.
I would hope so. That way I don't even have to worry about him.
Yeah, that's kind of why I said. That's kind of why I said it. I was hoping it's kind of wishing it true. Be like, come on, just take a day off. You haven't had one in a while.
Before we move on to the late slate, with just one swing, home runs can be the ultimate game changer. At T-Mobile, we know how to change the game for good. We've doubled our LTE coverage and now have the home run derby covered too. Make your picks T-Mobile's home run derby bracket challenge at T-Mobile.com/MLB for a chance to win a trip for 4 to Game 1 of the World Series. T-Mobile, we're changing the game for good. Moving on to the late slate here, CJ. Starting with Kansas City at Toronto. Blue Jays stack. We were worried about the percentages. They were so on their own. Man, I wish I would have stacked them everywhere on Tuesday night.
My bad.
No, it wasn't your fault, man.
I talked myself off that one too. And as the day went on, I realized that they weren't going to be highly owned, and I still was just being super stubborn about it. And that's because I was in love with that Twins game forever. I was just like, I'm just going to play the Twins no matter what. And then when I couldn't play the Twins at the levels I wanted to, I forgot about the Blue Jays. Oops.
Ian Kennedy, Marcus Stroman. I think this is another spot we can look at some of these right-handed Blue Jays bats. Ian Kennedy gives up a lot of hard contact to righties and a pretty high WOBA and home run per 9. Is this a spot we could look at Donaldson again?
Oh, man. This is a high-risk, high-reward spot for Toronto. Houston, I feel like is a pretty good comparative team for this one. And he's destroyed them twice this year. And I just look at the teams that have high K upside, which this Toronto team does, and right-handed power. And for whatever reason, he just seems to do well in all those spots. You talk about Detroit and Houston and Minnesota and Milwaukee. Those right-handed heavy boom bust teams he just seems to perform well against. Doesn't mean I'm against Toronto, but I don't think I'm going to be as high on them as most today.
I think Donaldson is just – he's so good right now. He is on fire, and he's the one guy that I want to pay up for because they're expensive. When you look at Donaldson and E5, and Saunders is still mediocrely priced, but Donaldson's the bat that I want to pay up for here.
I think I kind of just like Donaldson as a one-off.
I think that would be a good way to differentiate yourself if everybody's going to be stacking the Blue Jays.
Yeah, I wonder if there's any BVP. I haven't looked at BVP, and I was just kind of curious because you mentioned that there's a lot of power here, and I could see there being some massive BVP that we're going to miss here if I don't look it up. And let's see what we got here. Actually, I've never faced Ian Kennedy, believe it or not. That's kind of odd.
We'll see how it works out here. Now, looking at Stroman, is he really a guy we want to pick on here, or is it just a spot we can kind of stay away?
This is the one spot I've actually done my research on in this slate. I went full and deep on Marcus Stroman. I actually was trying to teach StatCasting to a student today, and so we went in depth on Marcus Stroman. So I actually am super qualified to answer this one. He's actually in a great spot. Kansas City really struggles with cutters and curveballs. It's a really good spot for Stroman. I don't think the lefties are going to be able to do much damage against him. So it would just be a guy like Sal Perez, who's the one guy I would be worried about. But other than that, it's a really good profile for Stroman. And at the price, I definitely am going to have some exposure.
That's fair, man. I like it. We'll talk about your coaching here in a few minutes before we get out of here. I want to hear more about that, but we'll move on to the Angels in Tampa until then. Drew Smyly, Jared Weaver, man, burner here. what's your thoughts on Smiley? Because really, we only have to worry about a couple bats against him.
Yeah, I kind of like the spot for Smiley. This just feels like a spot where I'm gonna not play him, and I have no good reason why. The matchup is solid. The ballpark is good. He's a fly ball pitcher, so pitching in Tampa is good. Mike Trout was coming back after a day off. I like him. I think I like a couple guys a little more, but I definitely have no problems with Drew Smiley, that's for sure.
I'm guessing you have no interest in Weaver?
That would be a fair assessment.
Okay. We'll talk Angels bats. Trout, Yunel Escobar. Really the only places I'm going. Jeffrey Marte, if he's cheap and in the lineup and in that 4 or 5 spot, would be the only time that I would play him. And your boy, you talked about him yesterday, CJ Cron. He's El Fuego.
Yeah, he's super in fuego. They finally give him at bats, and he's finally starting to produce. I'm gonna ride him out for a while. This is not a fluke.
All right, Tampa bats here against Weaver. Anything that you kind of want here?
I mean, I don't mind a stack in case Weaver gets absolutely lit up, but he's kind of one of those guys who just gives up his 4 or 5 runs and doesn't really get torched a ton. So I wouldn't mind stacking the Rays, but it's not exactly something I would love to do.
I think I'm with you. When I was looking at it, I feel like I only had like 3, maybe 4 second basemen that I was focusing on this slate. And I think Forsythe would be an interesting option. He's just lead off and he's cheap enough that I have interest.
Yeah, completely agree. Also, if it depends on who's catching, if Perez is behind the plate too, he could run. I'm sorry, if Perez is not behind the plate, he could run a little bit, which always adds to his upside a little bit.
Steven Souza pique your interest at all? I know, the pinch hit is always there, but $2,500 on FanDuel, it seems like a good matchup for him.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to play, though. He left tonight's game hurt.
All right. I'm glad you noticed that. Just for everybody knows, we're doing the podcast so late because I fell asleep on the couch at like 7 o'clock tonight.
I'm super jealous of that, by the way.
Yeah, I'll be up until like 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. And yeah, anyway, Texas at Boston, Stephen Wright, Martin Perez. The reason that CJ wanted to come on the podcast was to talk about this game. I'm letting the floor be yours, my friend.
Do not under any circumstances play Red Sox hitters today. There's no reason to play against Martin Perez. First of all, this matchup just happened, and Martin Perez did exactly what Martin Perez does. He gave up 2 runs over 7 innings, and just was 1 run over 6 innings. Just was perfectly mediocre. He gives up a lot of ground balls. The Red Sox lineup doesn't have Chris Young. It's a lot weaker against left-handed pitching than it was in the beginning of the season. It's awfully similar to last year's lineup, which struggled against left-handed pitching. The Red Sox run totals over 6 already, and there is no reason it should be anywhere near that high. Fade, fade, fade.
You feel better now?
A little bit, but I don't think anyone's going to believe me. So
no.
I'm not going to be trying to defend this all day on Twitter.
Well, just at me anytime you want some help, because I'm with you, man. I'm on the Red Sox fade as well. And this is coming from like 2 diehard Red Sox fans. So if you guys can't get behind, 2 Red Sox fans, you got to listen to this one. Martin Perez. So digging into the numbers, he just doesn't get hit very hard. Lefties have a .23 home run per 9 dating back to last year. Looking at righties, it's .76, but that's not nothing that we want to target. We don't want to target a 55% ground ball rate and a guy that just never gets hit hard.
Yep, absolutely. And you've looked since Chris Young went down, every lefty's had good success. Matt Moore pitched a quality game. Hector Santiago, who hadn't pitched a good game in months, pitched a good game. Martin Perez threw a good game. You just go back and you look, and every lefty is just throwing quality start after quality start after quality start.
Yeah, I think it's a good move to fade Red Sox because you're banking on 3 innings against the Texas bullpen at the end of the game.
Yeah, I mean, the Texas bullpen is bad and all, but it's not that bad.
I know what I'm saying though. Like you're hoping that your Red Sox stack does all their damage against the bullpen. You're taking out 6 innings of your stack, and you're only hoping for 3.
By the way, guess who just homered?
Who's that?
In the Athletics Twins game, your favorite boy.
Oh, don't say Valencia.
Homer.
Looking at the Texas side of this game, as I tilt myself like crazy, Stephen Wright got destroyed against Texas in that last game. It was an awful game for the knuckleball. It was hot and muggy. It was just not a good game. Any interest in Wright here? And I think he'll be probably less than 10% owned.
Yeah, he was actually pitching really well before the rain came. And as we all know, that knuckleballers in the rain just never do well. And like that, literally, he just blew up that one inning in the rain, and then they didn't bring him back because it was still raining when they restarted the game. Throwing that game out, I do have some interest in Stephen Wright. I definitely think he's a solid option here. Not one of my favorites, but certainly a guy I could play in tournaments.
Yeah, tournament only play, and it's just because last time he faced Texas, he got shelled, and we talk about the knuckleball all the time. All it takes is one good start with the knuckleball moving well, and he can have a dominant game.
Yeah, absolutely, completely agree.
And for that reason, I don't really like any of these Texas bats outside of a stack. So if the knuckleball's not moving well, the stack's going to come off, and that's really where I'm looking at this game as far as hitters.
The Red Sox bullpen's been really bad, so if Wright gets lit up, like we saw Angels just put up 21 against this bullpen a couple days ago. That's kind of how bad that back end of the bullpen is right
now. Any other bats from this game? I know you don't like any of the Red Sox bats.
No, I mean you could always talk me into a Xander Bogaerts one-off. I think the power is there for real against left-handed pitching, but again, it's just the wrong guy, so probably not even that for me.
It would be interesting to see where Bryce Brents hits. He's 2,100 on FanDuel. He's a righty power hitter that they had in the minors that he's not ready for the big leagues yet. I said it, a week ago or so. I don't think they were going to call him up till the end of the season. So I have some interest if he's min salary. I'm trying to pull up his fantasy draft price here.
I should have it up. Hold on.
6,600 is too much. I want the $2,100 play on FanDuel.
Yeah, I completely agree. If you needed some savings, that's definitely a fair place to go. Kid with massive potential, but this is definitely like 2 months or two and a half months too soon for him.
Yeah, it was just because the Red Sox were dealing with a lot of injuries. This kid's going
to
be
went through like 7 left fielders. It was pretty ridiculous. We even tried a couple catchers out there, and they got hurt too.
Seattle at Houston, Michael Fiers against Wade LeBlanc. Any interest in LeBlanc here? Even looking back at his stats from like 2013, 2014, 2012, he just never really got hit hard.
And the Astros are really bad against left-handed pitching. Like we talk about the Astros like, oh, we stack up those righties. We stack up Altuve, Correa, and Gaddis. I think I mentioned this yesterday without knowing there was a lefty on the hill today, but they're really bad against left-handed pitching. 24% K rate, WRC below on 90 at 91, near the bottom in the league. There's definitely, I think I'm more interested in fading the Astros than playing Wade LeBlanc. But if you wanted to play Wade LeBlanc, I wouldn't laugh at you.
I wouldn't either. Like, looking at this guy's career numbers, he just doesn't get hit hard. He doesn't give up a lot of home runs. Outside of Altuve, I think Houston is just a spot you kind of want to stay away from. Altuve is always a cash game play against lefties.
Yeah, definitely. And I want to mention against righties, though, it's time to hop on the A.J. Reed bandwagon. He's finally figured it out.
I know. You said it yesterday. I've been saying it for like a week and a half. Like, this kid was going to start hitting the ball hard, and it's starting to happen.
Yeah, this is like, don't wait a couple more days. But this weekend series with when they're trying to rest their all-stars, he's going to play every day. Lock in there. Lock him in.
Seattle here against Fiers. Does this interest you?
I mean, maybe if I was trying to go off the board, but I don't hate it. But there's a couple stats in the next couple games that I just like a lot more.
Fair points. I don't mind Nelson Cruz again. Like, this ballpark is so good for right-handed power that I think I can go back to Nelson Cruz against the righty.
Nelson Cruz in every scenario is always a good option. You can't go wrong.
You can't. If Dejo Lee gets another start here, would he pique your interest in a righty-righty matchup?
Yeah, his numbers against righties are actually better than his numbers against lefty. I absolutely would be interested.
Yeah, like, this ballpark's so good for righty power. I feel like those are the two guys that I want. I can kind of stay away from Cano and Seager, unless you're stacking. Don't leave out Cano and Seager if you're going to stack Seattle here.
Right, yeah, definitely don't do that.
New York, Chicago White Sox. Man, I'm so mad at the Yankees. I nailed my hitters today, and I had Carlos Rendon everywhere, and he just got shelled by the Yankees, which never happens. Yankees suck against lefties. Miguel Gonzalez, Michael Pineda. Any interest in these guys?
No, not at all. I think my favorite stack is in this game. I love the Yankees tonight.
Love the Yankees as well. They're going to let us down after crushing my whole dreams, and they're just going to go back-to-back nights on crushing me.
I could see it, too. That's probably the problem. I don't think I've gotten the Yankees right this year, but the spot is too good to pass up.
Yeah, Miguel Gonzalez, 346 WOBA, 1.59 home run per 9, and just really not that great against lefties. And he's pretty neutral as far as fly ball and ground balls goes. This is a really good spot for McCann, Gardner, Ellsbury, Teixeira here, and Beltran as well.
Yeah, love every single one of those. Didi Gregorius, too, not a bad option at shortstop either.
I hope that we see A-Rod out of the lineup so Beltre's DHing. I've been targeting him when he's been DH, and I don't like when he plays the field.
Yeah, I can't see how he would play the field in this matchup. I mean, I could be surprised, I guess, but I don't see that coming.
Yeah, I think it's a good time to get off the A-Rod bandwagon, New York. Get your boy Beltran more DH at bats. He's mashing the baseball this year.
Alex Rodriguez is just not good anymore.
Michael Pineda interests you at all here? It's a smaller slate. We don't have a lot of great options. He definitely has the strikeout upside here against Chicago.
I can't do it. Small ballpark, home run prone pitcher. I don't know about this one.
Yeah, and you definitely want some exposure to Abreu and Frazier in this game, right?
Yeah, Eaton too. I don't even mind Eaton as well.
So 3 bats, still leaves 6, all the strikeouts from Pineda. I don't hate him here as an SP2. I got this pitching matchup wrong, on Tuesday, so I'll probably get it wrong on Wednesday. But I do think Pineda has some upside here.
I
hate the ballpark too. But
I hate the team too. It's just Brian McCann just can't throw anybody out either.
8+ strikeouts in 4 straight games, 5 out of his last 6 for Pineda.
Man, the funny thing too is I was waiting for he was obviously gonna get improved. The regression was gonna come, and now that it started to come, I'm just talking myself out of him every single start.
Yeah, like I said, I have interest even on FanDuel. I have a little interest because I do think the win's going to be there. I think we're both on the Yankees bandwagon here, but it wouldn't shock me if he gives up a couple home runs either.
Yeah. I mean, on this slate, I definitely think you can definitely do it. There's not a lot of great options. So a targeting upside on this slate is something that I'll do, and probably will have some Pineda shares. Should probably talk me into a few.
Jaime Garcia, Jeff Locke, Pittsburgh at St. Louis. Jaime Garcia, is he finally healthy? He's looked a lot better in a few of his last starts.
Yeah, he's looked a little bit better. He still was kind of grooving a couple pitches. Milwaukee's just so bad they missed him. So I don't know if he's all the way back, but I mean, he definitely looked okay. But they're definitely that 8 innings, 1 run, 6K strikeout looks a lot better on the box score than it did watching the game. But that being said, he's got a really good matchup. He's a reverse splits guy, and the Pirates are just going to load up all these right-handers against him.
Took the words right out of my mouth, CJ. I think this is a really good matchup for Jaime Garcia. Really, honestly, who really scares you outside of Polanco? Maybe Marte. McCutcheon's been so bad right now. He's hurt.
Not Jordy Mercer. Thanks a lot, Clint Hurdle. You ruined Adam Frazier Day.
I was going to tweet you that earlier, too.
So mad. I see Pena's in the lineup, and I get so excited because no one's going to think about it. And then Clint Hurdle rolls out his, let me throw a slow guy in 3 different spots in the lineup just to ruin the entire dynamic. I felt like Mike Matheny had made his lineup card. It was unbelievable.
Speaking of Mercer, what's your thoughts on Mercer here against Garcia, maybe in that leadoff spot on FanDuel, maybe 2,400?
No. I mean, Garcia's a reverse splits guy, so it's just not going to target weak hitting. If he plays, I'd much rather play Adam Frazier.
Polanco.
He's gonna be the starting shortstop in 2 weeks. Like it's gonna happen. He's the better player.
This is right around the same time last year where they started getting Mercer out of the lineup too. So it'd be interesting to see how that plays off. Polanco 2,900 on FanDuel. I know it's a lefty-lefty matchup. Any interest there?
I think he's hurt. The Cardinals broadcast tonight was talking about how his leg hurts, and he didn't seem to be running full strength. He dropped a routine fly ball. I think I'm going to have to pass.
You're making me like Jaime Garcia even more here. Jeff Locke on the other side of this game. Cardinals not great against lefties, but Jeff Locke is not your greatest lefty as well.
I don't know what to do at this spot. Like, the Cardinals' regression against left-handed pitching is coming. Like, the Pirates kid pitched really well tonight. Like, he pitched really well.
Called it.
Yeah, we were. I just like. I wish they could have rostered him in 4K. It would have been great.
I know.
But God, Jeff Locke is really bad. Like, I think this is the time to hop onto the Cardinals one more time against the lefty, just because it's Jeff Locke.
Well, let's talk about it. Brandon Moss went to the DL. I think that's something we want to note. Just sprained left ankle right before the All-Star break. This is what the Marlins should be doing with Justin Bour, right?
Yes, like this is like the complete, like the broadcast couldn't explain exactly when it happens. I was just like, yeah, this is the, hey, let's just give you some rest on either side because you're completely destroying the baseball. Yep. And we need you in the lineup like every day.
Yeah, Piscotty, have a lot of interest in Piscotty and Diaz at shortstop. Can you sell me on anybody else? Peralta banged up, left thumb discomfort. He probably won't even be in the lineup here.
No, but Jed Jerko probably will. And he's been mashing. He looked pretty good tonight, and he gets another lefty tomorrow. So I definitely could have some interest in the Jerk store.
2,200 on shortstop on FanDuel. I love that, man. I like Jerko. I play him way too much.
Yeah, I'm gonna have way too much of him on the slate tomorrow.
Oh, I like that call, CJ. That's a good one. You guys know when I get a little excited here. That's a good call. I'm pulling it up. 7,200 on draft. That's probably a little too much for him.
That's probably pushing the envelope slightly, but he'll be 1%. That's for sure.
I'd rather just pay the extra $900 for Matt Holliday.
Oh man, he's like batting below 200 at Busch Stadium, and I swear all the hits are when I make fun of him on Grinders Live.
So, are you on tomorrow? Can you make fun of him a little bit?
No, I'm actually off tomorrow, which is why I hopped on the pod because I really wanted to mention the Red Sox. But God, Holliday.
Can you tell me how bad Holliday is real quick?
God, he's been really bad.
All right,
really, really, really bad.
All right, thank you. San Diego at Arizona. Shelby Miller, Colin Ray. What do we do with this game? Like this game, when I was breaking down the slate, it just frustrated me. I'm not a big Shelby Miller fan, but where do we pick on him? And Colin Ray, not a great pitcher, and where do we pick on him outside of Jake Lamb?
I think that Shelby Miller is in an interesting spot.
No, you did this last time we did the podcast.
He was fine.
He gave up 8 hits and 2 or 3 earned runs?
He was 4K. He was perfectly respectable.
So what is he today? Let's pull it up.
He's 9K on draft.
Oh my God! Why are they doing this?
Daring you to play him.
Shelby Miller is better than 9K, even at home against San Diego.
Yeah, he gave up a couple runs late. They kept him in a little too long, but it wasn't exactly like he was absolutely awful. I mean, I don't know. I kind of like the problem is I love Solarte. I like Dickerson. I like. I don't know what to do. I don't know. I'm probably not going to play Shelby Miller, but
I'm not playing Shelby Miller.
God. Price is so tempting. Like if this game were on the early slate, right, and I could just play all the Reds and the Cubs, I would do it. But I don't see an offense on this back end slate where I'm just like, I want to stack all the high end guys here. There's not that offense really doesn't pop off the table for me, other than maybe the Yankees. So I think I'd just be more interested in rostering the hitters in this game.
I'm all about me some Alex Dickerson. I talked about him yesterday. He's just a cheap play that he hit 4th or 5th tonight?
5th, yeah. They're showing him love, and I'm gonna show him love until the team stops showing him some love.
Yeah, and if he keeps producing the way that he's been producing over the last week or so, I think that he'll stay up there. You mentioned Solarte. Love Solarte, and the reason that I love Solarte, in this game, everybody's going to play Jake Lamb, and Solarte is a good pivot at third base on FanDuel.
Yeah, like people are just telling me like he has no power. Like he doesn't have no power. He's got 6 home runs this season. He's going to end up being like a 20 home run guy before this season's over. Like it's not a super powerful guy, but it's not a guy who's got no power.
Yeah, he started the season super cold too.
Yeah, like, and he's in a really good park for power. Like I do love the pivot. I couldn't agree more. And if you're on draft, I would love to play them both.
Yeah, if you're playing cash games, play Lamb. I'm not saying don't play Lamb. He's an excellent play in this slate. Will Myers, does he pique your interest at all?
I love Will Myers. He's just overpriced every single day, so he just becomes an amazing contrarian option every single day.
He's under 5% every day.
Oh, it's great. It's just like, hey, I can go contrarian in this one spot for a guy on pace for 40 home runs that will be unowned, and now I can do whatever I want with the rest of my lineup.
Yeah. Anybody else here from the Padres that you like?
Let's just talk about Will Myers for just a second more. He's going to go 30-30 this year, or 40-30. That's insane. And no one ever rosters him.
I know. He's having a great season. Do you think he ends up getting traded?
Oh, they should probably trade him. They should trade him. I don't know if they will. There's some desperate teams for an outfielder right now. Stick him in like left field at Fenway, say?
Nah. We would definitely take Will Myers in Fenway. Colin Ray, ground ball pitcher, to righties, semi ground ball pitcher to lefties, gives up a lot of hard contact. Like, I don't like Colin Ray. I really like Jake Lamb. Like, he is just so high up on my list here.
Yeah, I completely agree. He's also just absolutely in fuego right now. Even today he comes in for a pinch hit, hits a triple. Home runs in 4 of his last 6. Just been hitting the ball super well. Even 10-4 on draft just feels like one of those lock and load prices.
Yeah, just open his FanDuel game log and you see double digits for 7 straight games.
Yep, absolutely.
Anybody else? Goldschmidt's always an option. I think I actually like Will Myers at first base more than I like Goldschmidt in this game, but he's always an option. Anybody else that you like here?
No, not really. Can we just talk about how Ricky Weeks was 45% owned in cash today? Did I miss something? Like, it's Ricky Weeks on a slate where everyone was free. I don't know. I guess it worked out for him, but I just couldn't believe it on a slate where everyone was so underpriced. Don't play Ricky Weeks if he plays against a righty, though.
Yeah, only in play against lefties. What's your thoughts here on Michael Bourne, FanDuel? He's 2,200. We almost think that he's going to be in the 2 spot, man.
No, he's got no power upside. Literally 0.
Hits in 6 straight games, double digits in 4 of his last 6.
Play him in cash games, then. Don't play him in tournaments.
That's what I'm talking about. He's a punt play, 2,200.
Yeah, fine. He'll go 0 for 4 if I ever roster him, though. Don't you worry about it. No, I think I would just rather Alex Dickerson in all seriousness.
And I think that's a fair call. I think that's a great call. Cueto, Jorge De La Rosa, Colorado at San Francisco. Were you on the Bumgarner tilt after 91 pitches and losing the win? As CJ grabs his face and
the slate would kind of been already over for me, but it was kind of just like the nice cherry that just goes, here you go, nice disaster of a slate, whoop, right on top. I say that as Miguel Sano homers, they might have just saved the slate for me. Yeah, no. What were you thinking? Like, your bullpen's been bad for a month, and then you just couldn't let him hit, and then you don't even let him go out for the 7th at under 100. It was just. Whatever.
He's never safe when he hits because they actually like him as a hitter.
Why don't you just let him go 120 pitches, push him a day so that he can actually pitch in the All-Star game? Give him an excuse not to throw on Sunday. Whatever.
Johnny Cueto against the Rockies. Is this our chalky pitcher here on this late slate?
Yeah, I think he is. I do think this line's going to move a little bit towards the Rockies, and I don't think it's because Cueto's a bad option. I just think Jorge De La Rosa is an interesting option as well in terms of just a Giants team that's been depleted by injuries. Sure, you got to worry about Posey, but that park against right-handed power, not the same. And De La Rosa doesn't get lit up a ton.
Yeah, Johnny Cueto, biggest favorite on the day. He's a negative 230. When we're looking at team totals, throughout the whole slate, two of the lowest team totals come from this game. So I'm with you. I think that De La Rosa, interesting option for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely a tournament option, but I definitely think there's merit to it. And you could even just game stack this for pitching, to be honest. I think that's in play as well.
I'm with you. I do like Cueto. You could sell me on Brandon Belt and Crawford. I love these guys against lefties. I talk about them all the time when they're against lefties. De La Rosa, his stats are okay against lefties, but I definitely think that for tournaments, if you want to be different, always like these guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And another guy on the other side, even against Cueto, you can sell me on a Nolan Arenado. The guy is just a beast now. 23 home runs on the season. Just an absolute unbelievable start. 45 extra base hits. Now that's just absurd out of 92 hits. A lot of upside here. Even against Cueto, we've seen Cueto get rocked in a few first innings. His ERA is over 6 in the first inning. So if he comes out with a poor start, Nolan Arenado could be one of the reasons why.
Arenado, 45 home runs over under.
Over.
Fair point. He plays at Coors. You have to kind of give him the credit, right?
Yeah, I mean, you don't also get like a 295 average with like a 960 OPS just by home games. Like you have to be really good to get that line.
Yeah, he is good, man. Like if Colorado didn't play at Coors Field, I really think that their pitching staff, that they have a lot of good young arms.
Yeah, they do. John Gray is just I know that you are the founder of the John Gray fan club, but I'm like the treasurer or secretary.
I'll let you be VP.
Oh, VP! Wow, I'm honored.
Nobody else loves John Gray as much as I do, and you're getting there.
Yeah, I mean, this guy he's a beast. When does he get to pitch next? I'm ready to roster him again. When does he get to pitch again?
Oh man, I pitched him at Coors his last start out, and he didn't disappoint.
No, he was perfectly respectable. I had him on one or two teams. It was some of my better teams on the night.
All right, let's play some home run derby. Since we got an early slate and a late slate, and Dan's not doing the podcast this week, we're going to take 2 home runs from the early slate and 2 home runs from the late slate, and I'm going to rule out the Cubs game in the early slate. It's going to be our Coors Field. DJ, we could have taken 4 guys from that game alone.
Oh my goodness! All right, I'm gonna need a second. I'm gonna need a second then to pull up play. I'm gonna need to pull up the slate.
Yeah, we could have taken Rizzo, Bryant, Votto, Bruce, and Duvall. Any of those 5 guys.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you. It just requires me to pull up the slate. I can't just pick off random Cubs and Reds anymore.
Yeah, I did that on purpose.
All right. Well, fair enough.
I just gave out 5 guys from that game that all could hit home runs.
Yeah, absolutely. There's like another 5 you didn't even mention. So.
Contreras, Baez. I can keep going. That's why I ruled that game out.
I completely agree. Well, then with the first overall pick, I'm gonna take Daniel Murphy.
Daniel Murphy. I like that you went Murphy instead of Harper. I like that. I'm gonna go Donaldson. Oh, he's on the late slate, isn't he?
He's on the late slate.
I'm screwing myself here. I'm gonna take your boy, man. I'm gonna go Cody Asik.
Oh man! All right. Well, I'm gonna take Abdul Herrera. Maybe he'll get one on All-Star narrative, baby.
All-Star narrative. It is. I really want somebody from the Oakland, Minnesota game, and I think I'm gonna go Josh Reddick. I just see a big game coming from Reddick eventually.
Interesting.
Moving on to the late slate.
I did say a second guy. Never mind.
You went Murphy and Herrera.
I did, yeah. I forgot we changed. You changed the rules. You got me all mixed up here.
That's okay. That's what I'm here for. Bring in the good stuff to the podcast.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Oh, thank you, Miguel Sano. You just got me into the cash and presented this day for me. Disaster.
Give me a couple home runs here. Give me a home run in the late slate.
I'm going to start off with I'm going to take your boy. Sorry, man. I'm taking Jake Lamb.
That's okay. I just was hoping that you didn't take my boy Donaldson there.
Oh, yeah. No, I wouldn't have done that. I wasn't going to do that. I do love Jake Lamb, though. He's just a guy I lock and load.
Yeah, I'm with you on Lamb.
God. The problem is if I take the Yankee, I'm going to take the wrong one. So I'm just going to leave that game alone. As much as I love it, like if I say McCann, Tex and the other guys will go off. So I don't want to jinx anyone. So Let me just take Will Myers. I did just gush about him for an hour.
Oh, that's who I wanted. Oh man, that's definitely who I wanted there. Oh, that messed me up. Now I'm like digging in to see who I want. It's been a long time since this guy has hit a home run, and it's a pretty good spot for him. I'm gonna go Jose Abreu.
Okay. I like it.
It's been at least 10 games.
Well, that's a very contrarian option. I like it. How bad am I getting kicked in Home Run Derby?
I have to update the sheet. I have it updated for like the last week and a half, and host and co-host, I think I was up by like 2.
That's not bad. All right.
Yeah. I got to bring on some people that are bad at Home Run Derby every once in a while.
No, I don't. I think we need to. I think we need to start getting a co-host Skype chat here and start sharing some picks. We need to beat you.
All right. At the end of the day, if you had to pick one pitcher to pick up a win, not named Johnny Cueto, he's the only guy I'm going to take off the list today. Give me a guy that you like.
Jacob deGrom.
Yeah, I can definitely get behind that. I'm going to go Tanner Roark. Did we just take 2 pitchers from the early slate?
Yeah, you want to do one from the night slate too?
Let's do one from the late slate.
Marcus Stroman.
You do like Stroman. That's really interesting. I'll go Stephen Wright against Texas after getting mauled by Texas last time.
Yeah, I think that what Stevie and I are saying is bet the under of 10.5 on that game.
Is it really 10.5?
It's really 10.5.
Oh, man. CJ, we were talking a little bit before we got started here. You were just finishing up with a teaching session. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, as part of the new Roto Grinders coaching program, I'm taking students for baseball, basketball, and football coaching, and we basically there's a diagnostic. I try to identify your biggest leaks and try to help improve your game, your tournament game, making so that you have all the tools in your bag to be a great tournament player. I have a few lessons in, and students have had some really good successes already early on. It's really exciting to see. And if you're interested, there's coaching pages available on Roto Grinders. I still got a few spots left for July.
All right. And you can private message him. It's pretty easy. All you got to do is go to the podcast and you can see his username right there. And that way you can private message him. And one of the best tournament players in the game is definitely the Siege. So make sure you guys check that out. It'd definitely be worth the money. Any final thoughts before we get out of here besides don't play the Red Sox today?
Just completely stole my thunder.
That's what I'm here for, CJ. That's what I'm here for.
Let's just echo it one more time. Fade the Red Sox if you like money.
There you go. If the Red Sox go off, his Twitter handle is the Siege DFS.
Why don't you send it to my troll account? SI. No, just kidding.
All right, we're going to get out of here. Make sure you guys head on over to fantasydraft.com. They sponsor the podcast. So if you guys enjoy the podcast every day, head on over there. Use promo code GRINDERS. I can't tell you how many times over the last couple months since I started doing the podcast that I get messages on Twitter saying, hey, Stevie talked about fantasy draft, and I went over there and I won a tournament, or I took down a golf tournament, and it was my first time ever playing golf. So make sure you guys head on over there. It sounds like the golf product is pretty soft, so check that out. Use promo code GRINDERS. That way you get incentives here at Roto Grinders for fantasy draft for free for a year, and you get a 100% deposit bonus up to $600. Make sure you guys check out that T-Mobile Home Run Derby thing. It sounds really awesome. It's tmobile.com/MLB. Check that out. That's going to wrap it up here for the podcast today. We'll be back tomorrow with Derek Carty. Good luck in your contest tonight, and we'll see you then.